Listen, Gary, that was a pretty aggressive move that nearly took both you and Alex out of the points. Alex is livid about it. You're a quick driver. You just need to calm down a bit. Like I said before, I get it. You're a rookie and you're going to learn as time goes on. But I can assure you right now, if you calm down a bit and clean it up, good things are going to come your way.
Hey Alex, sorry about the way I made that move there in Monaco. That was really, really silly. I apologize for that.
I appreciate it. I really do. Listen, Gary, you're fast. Clean it up, as I'm sure James already told you. You're going to stick around in the paddock.
So then, we kick this episode off with a bit of spicy action there following the Monaco Grand Prix with our meet with our team principal of James Vowles, as well as a brief call there with our teammate of Alex Albon, who we made that move on the final lap there, coming into the end of that Monaco Grand Prix. Now, we're going home racing. We are here in Canada, a very exciting Grand Prix, and we're on the brand new patch that just came out. New handling, as well AI errors and failures are now finally here. So there's some exciting things. There was also R&D changes, and you can see where we now stack up a little bit further down the order as McLaren's right there with Red Bull. Now, and speaking of McLaren, they are throwing it back this weekend to the Vodafone days. They're trying to reignite that energy after a rough season and bring back that 2011 Canadian Grand Prix energy this weekend. Of course, if you guys remember, Jenson Button picking up the win in quite a dramatic race that was back in 2011 as we come through into this weekend, our first home race in Formula One.
First home weekend of hopefully many for you, Gary. How was the week lead up?
Yeah, it was good. Just got around in the Toronto area, and then of course got here to Montreal, and just overall had a good time, just kind of spending time with family and whatnot. And yeah, overall nice to be home.
All right, good luck this weekend.
And there you hear our brief conversation with Ted Kravitz now as we get on track for the first time with the new handling patch. And overall, to me, it feels a little bit more back in the direction of F123, but not quite as good, but definitely better than what we had beforehand. So overall, I'm quite happy with this. Now, I'm still running a mod with the AI where it spreads them out because the patch didn't really fix that. So that is going to still be in effect here. I am still using that mod that you can find in the description below, along with the McLaren Vodafone livery as well. But overall, pretty happy with the car in practice. And following practice now that we're on the North American side of the world, Justin Marks and Trackhouse Racing were actually back here this weekend in Canada and wanted to have a secondary follow-up talk after our first conversation a few episodes ago. So we're going to go take a listen here to that brief conversation with Justin Marks.
Appreciate you talking to me again, Gary. I know you've turned down other teams already. Listen, I've been following your races closely, and I know Williams doesn't like it, but I love the aggression out of you. It reminds me a bit of our NASCAR driver, Ross Chastain.
I appreciate that, but I mean, hit me with the details. I mean, what's your genuine offer, and where's this team, even if you come into the sport, like where are you guys going to be stacked up?
So our likely option right now is buying out a current team as F1 is against an 11th team for whatever reason. I will be blunt with you. The team will be a ways off of what your current team is to begin with, but I can assure you we have the vision and determination, and the right people will be in place to make Trackhouse Racing a world champion team within 3 to 4 seasons. You can be a vital part of building this vision. I know you want to do other forms of racing too. Joining our team will present opportunities to race in our Project 91 NASCAR program. We're exploring options in WRC as well as endurance racing and for sure the Indy 500. So take a few weeks to think on it some more and get back to me.
So then, a conversation there with Trackhouse Racing and Justin Marks heading into qualifying. We've got some thinking to do for our future here beyond season number 1. As we come through into Q1, it's a pretty easy breeze through in Q1, actually. We go P12 and P14 for myself, as well as our teammate of Alex Albon. So right now, looking a little bit slower than we have here in past recent weekends, and both the Saubers are out here in Q1. They started falling off last episode in Monaco, and that's certainly continuing over into this weekend as well as we come through into Q2. My first lap here in Q2 now, and it felt pretty decent now coming through the hairpin on the backside of the circuit, getting hard on that gas now, going down and through the chicane and to the line. It's going to put us up here in P6 A very solid effort. We would drop down to P9. Albon looking for more pace. He's outside the top 10. Perez is outside the top 10, and so are both the McLarens, Norris and Piastri as well. And as we come through the final chicane, we actually invalidate our lap, but it's fine because Perez and the McLarens, including our teammate of Albon, they all go slower. We make it through into Q3, and Perez is out alongside Lando Norris as well as Oscar Piastri. A big shock there, as that is perfect for us, as Albon is down in P14. We're finally going to out-qualify our teammate again, as it doesn't matter what we do now in Q3. So a very solid start to our first Canadian Grand Prix home weekend here in Formula 1 now as we roll through into Q3. What can we do? As I was really just trying to put in a pretty baseline kind of lap here. Now I didn't have the highest expectations for this one, but we come through the chicane on the back side of the circuit. Now just trying to follow the Ferrari in front of us now. Max Verstappen just behind, and you can see it's going to be probably about P10, P9 area, I'm guessing, once we come to the line right now. But through the final chicane, got hooked up pretty well through there. Pierre Gasly just in front of myself. We got a slipstream from him to the line, and we go P6, and it would last. We will start the Canadian Grand Prix from the 6th starting position. Canadians 6th and 7th. How about the Alpines as well, both inside the top 10, but a lightning quick qualifying round from us, a career high, and hopefully we can carry this momentum into the Grand Prix. Let's head to the race.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to the variant of this track back in 1978, and it was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history and could be the cause of a safety car today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Golden Boy, Stroll, Russell, Gasly, Ocon, Perez, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Joe, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Bottas, Magnussen, and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me, bringing glamour and expertise to our commentary today, Naomi Schiff. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
So then, we'll be starting on the mediums here today, going on to the hards, with a threat of rain in the tail end of this Grand Prix, but I don't think it's going to come early enough to where you can make it on the hards, so we will just stick with the mediums and get ready to go racing here in Montreal.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres.
We see only 2 drivers starting on hard compound tires compared to everybody else on the mediums. It's a pair of McLarens, Norris and Piastri, looking for a little bit of magic here in the longer run.
P5 start today, Lewis. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Toto. Let's stay in the fight today, guys.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Good luck today, Gary. Great qualifying effort. Now let's make it count.
Yep, 10-4. Thanks, James. Thanks, team, as usual, for the hard work this weekend. Things are looking pretty good. Let's have fun.
So then, we are ready to go racing here from this Canadian Grand Prix. It's been a solid start to the weekend. There's been a lot of conversation as well. Conversation with Trackhouse Racing, a new team, Justin Marks, etc. Lots of good things on the way here now as we are ready for 35 laps of racing in this Canadian Grand Prix. It's going to be lights out and Max Verstappen, and now 60 Grand Prix winner, leads the field to green, but Sainz gets him into turn 1. Carlos Sainz, to the point as I was already in a bit of a gridlock 2x2, couldn't really do anything, just had to settle in right off the bat now as the two Aston Martins, Alonso as well as Lance Stroll, side by side here now as we head down into the chicane, the little downhill elevation chicane. Stroll, fellow Canadian, through one. Alonso says thank you very much, he'll take the position. You see the two McLaren Vodafone cars there lining up. You got Piastri and Norris. Actually, Piastri got ahead of Lando Norris on the start there as Perez just in front of those two, and then you got Alex Albon just in front as well, or sorry, just behind those guys. So not exactly where he wants to be this weekend. Now I expect better things from Alex Albon, and we'll have to wait and see, you know, if something can materialize here this weekend. But it's going to be interesting because we have this mod that spreads out everybody. However, when you put some faster cars a little bit further down the field, I'm curious to see how that's going to work with the DRS and whatnot. Obviously, we're going to find out here as time goes on. Already a gap between myself and the car in front. That's George Russell as we head down towards this final chicane. Sainz leads the way. One win on the season for Ferrari, and of course Carlos Sainz a little bit earlier in the season. The only other team that has got a win this season outside, of course, of Red Bull Racing. Now Max Verstappen, absolute dominant so far this season. Well, we now, with this new patch and the R&D changes, eventually start to see the tides change as we kind of have in real life as well, with Red Bull kind of starting to fade a little bit now as lap 3 at this point, just trying to keep the pair of Alpines at bay who are really showing some solid pace this weekend. Unexpectedly, they were so slow last episode in Monaco alongside Kick Sauber, but this weekend Sauber's still quite slow, but Alpine have figured something out and they have brought some speed into this weekend, running P9, P10. Perez with the first AI mistake of the new patch. He locks up there, and that's going to give up multiple positions. Piastri, Norris, 11th, 12th, Albon through into 13th, and Perez down in 14th. It's going to be difficult for him to get points today as we continue on our own journey here, and you can see nearly 2 seconds now, 2 seconds officially behind George Russell, but they are kind of stuck together in front of us, those three guys, Russell, Alonso, and Stroll, and then you got a bit of a 4-car breakaway up front of Sainz as well as Verstappen, Leclerc, and then Lewis Hamilton, who got up to 4th off the start and has been holding his own. But we were starting to reel in the cars in front of us as now myself and Esteban Ocon driving away. Yellow behind, it's Oscar Piastri.
Engine's gone, guys, damn it.
You hear the radio? Piastri out of the race with the first mechanical failure now we'll see ever in this career mode. No safety car there. He's pulled off and out of the way. That McLaren Vodafone livery looks so good. But we are now under pressure from Esteban Ocon here on lap 7. I'm actually going to let him have it into the chicane. It's just senseless to force a side-by-side battle into that chicane when it just doesn't need to happen. So we settle in behind, and as well I get an opportunity to save up a little bit of battery. But yeah, this French team today is looking very good. Albon as well is in a battle with Lando Norris. Now he's the only McLaren, of course, left in the Grand Prix, and he's up to P11 right now, but Norris and him are going back and forth now. And speaking of back and forth now, as Ocon was able to pass me, we pass him back into turn number 1, so we'll take that 8th position now. As you can see, here's Lando Norris actually making this move on our teammate of Alex Albon into that same corner and gets the job done. Perez just behind both of them as we were continuing to run down the cars in front. Russell, Alonso, as well as Lance Stroll, who continues to stay ahead of the Aston Martin teammate of his in the 2-time world champ now. So we're about to be in the DRS of these guys in front of us, which is going to be fantastic, of course, now. But they were battling so hard behind us. Norris was still going at it with Albon, and you can see on the track map that that was causing everybody to get held up there. As now Carlos Sainz, lap 11 coming to lap 12, is going to pit from the lead. We have seen Ferrari try a 2-stop strat with Sainz before, and it didn't work out, and they're going to try it again. and I don't see how this is going to work whatsoever. And he may have just thrown away a potential win here in the Canadian Grand Prix, or not Carlos, but the team, I should say. Now it almost seems like that team's trying to sabotage him here before he leaves Ferrari at the season's end. Now, as we continue on, closing in on the back of Russell, we were able to break out of the DRS from Esteban Ocon, so we were starting to drive away from him as we come through to lap 13. Now we're on the back of these guys as we enter the hairpin, so we are exactly where we need to be. Quite happy with the pace of this Williams now. I mean, running P7, and our pit window is about to open here, so we'll be coming into the pit lane momentarily. Lando Norris and Albon, they had kind of gotten their situation sorted out, and it was basically Norris just in control here. As you see me asking for a weather update, and Mark's telling me 10 to 15 minutes until rain. So yeah, even if you started on the hard compound tire, you're likely not making it to the rain here. Now, as you can see, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, these top three that are all stuck together coming into the pits, and it's a solid stop from Verstappen. He'll be easily out in front. It'll remain the same there as we're going to come into the pits following Fernando Alonso. The same lap, a bit of a slide there on the entrance, but it'll be an alright pit entry now as Alonso and myself will be both going on to this hard compound tire. We know the McLaren of Lando Norris is going to be running a little bit further into this run, but he was so far back because of the battle he was engaged in with Albon. He's not really going to gain much here. Now, look at that. We were actually able to get in front of Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. This was just moments prior or before, and he was actually well comfortably out in front of Verstappen and the rest of the group of cars behind, but they're all going to probably run him down with a several lap fresher advantage for the tires. So here we are with 20 laps to go. You see the clouds starting to cover the circuit as I had a bit of a lockup there, and here comes Fernando Alonso. Now, we had a moment with him last episode in Monaco. He took the blame for the incident, and there he goes, breezing up the inside. He'll take the position now as, yeah, way faster in that Aston Martin. Although we were running them down at the tail end of that first run, we know in reality, in a normal situation, that Aston Martin has quite the advantage over the Williams. Now, as we're going to pass a whole bunch of cars here that are pitting, including our teammate of Albon. So Sainz leads now by 3.9 seconds over Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton. They're all just still stuck together. Lando Norris P5 currently before he comes into the pits on that hard compound tire. He'll put on, of course, a set of mediums, but the question is, what's Sainz going to do? If he can stay out on the racetrack until the rain comes, there's a chance he can still hang on here, but yeah, I don't know if he's actually going to elect to do that now, as we are losing quite a bit of time now to Fernando Alonso. He runs P6, but overall, I mean, we're in a good position. We were able to get in front of Lance Stroll, who stayed out longer. We as well got out in front of George Russell, and they were in a heated side-by-side back-and-forth battle, so we were comfortably ahead of them by 4 seconds at this point now, as it would stabilize as Russell would kind of finally get himself in front and solidify himself in front of Lance Stroll. I'm pretty happy, of course, as you can imagine, with the car. P6, we know the rain is coming. I haven't made any laps on the new patch with rain. I haven't made any laps actually in this game in rain since the preview build of this game. Max Verstappen and the group behind him of Leclerc and Hamilton have run down the leader of Carlos Sainz, but we know Sainz is going to be pitting, and he would pit at the end of that same lap, so he comes in from the lead and he'll be putting on another set of mediums. I don't like this call. We know the rain's coming, and Sainz is going to be out behind us. He's going to cycle through actually right here with Esteban Ocon. He'll get out in front of Ocon, so he's right behind Stroll and Russell, so we'll see what kind of pace he has, but I think he's going to struggle here getting past these two cars because the Mercedes and the Aston Martin, they are very well capable of holding their own now, as we actually have a DRS fault.
Okay, so same issue as Imola, we will not have DRS.
Always something, huh?
Yeah, just do what you can here, mate.
So we will not have DRS likely for the rest of the Grand Prix unless they find a fix, and Russell and Stroll are closing already now that they're not battling anymore. They are just downright faster than me, but over the next few laps we would kind of find a way to stabilize the gap to keep it at about 3 seconds or so, but we still don't know how when the rain comes, how that's going to affect us. But clearly, as you can see, we're on lap 25 of 35, so this rain is going to be coming late in this Grand Prix within the final 10 laps. Is it going to rain enough? Is it going to rain early enough to put us onto an intermediate compound tire? That's where things are going to get interesting. We'll find out after we go through the grid.
It's all Max Verstappen again here in Canada. Win 61 on the way if he can hang on just a bit longer here. Rain is imminent, but it appears to be a light shower, so I'm not sure if it will be wet enough to switch tyres.
Hamilton with another solid run here in third place. He's had a respectable season as Alonso trails a full 10 seconds back in fourth. And how about Owen up in fifth? A great run for him.
It has helped that some faster cars have struggled this weekend, the two McLarens and, of course, Sergio Perez, who has not found much good fortune this weekend. The pair of Alpine cars in the top 10, a monumental step forward this weekend for the French team.
I fear it might just be the track that suits them this weekend. I wouldn't be one bit shocked if they are way off next time out in Spain. It's not been an easy season for the team, but a day like this will help ease the pain nonetheless. Lots of uncertainty over there right now.
Sauber running 14th and 15th as they look a bit better than a few weeks ago in Monaco. Hülkenberg finds himself just in front of Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo.
Not an easy season for the sister Red Bull team. They looked all right in Monaco, but are not looking good today.
Kevin Magnussen at the bottom of the grid, 9 seconds back. I actually went into the replays and looked after the race to see where in the world he lost all that time, and I think he had a mechanical issue that was slowing him up because he never had contact with anybody. There was no damage. As you can see, I actually make a mistake there into the hairpin, locking up on that right front wheel, and that gap would come down a little bit further. 2.5 seconds to George Russell, 2.9 to Lance Stroll. Carlos Sainz has not made any progress now. The rain is here at this point, so less than 10 laps to go. Light rain falling on the circuit. What is going to happen now? As you can see there, 20 minutes at least of light rain. Another bit of a lock up there into the chicane here as we're starting to find some vulnerabilities in ourselves and start to slip and slide, make a few mistakes. But the gap still remains about 2.5 seconds to George Russell and Stroll. Just trailing now. A big moment there on the exit of the chicane a lap prior where we had that lock up now. So there's going to be some time lost, and we are starting to make some errors as this rain is falling and starting to dampen the track just a little bit. It's really not that bad, but I was certainly feeling it here. Now the gap under 2 seconds at this point, lap 29, and this is the same corner every time, the same chicane every lap. That is really presenting an issue for me and costing me a tenth or two, maybe even 3 here and there now, as we're just trying to hang on now as we get through the chicane without too much issue. Going into the hairpin again, just trying to make sure we hook this car up, but the gap is definitely coming down as it's about 1.6, 1.7 second area as lap 30 of 35. Another slide into the same chicane as these guys behind us are licking their chops. They like what they see as I continue to slip and slide and struggle behind the wheel of this Williams.
I am hanging on for my life, dude.
Do what you can, just don't crash the car. Give up a few places if it means you don't crash.
And I think that's the situation we're about to find ourselves in, because here comes George Russell. He's as well now got DRS, so he's going to close up right on the back of us now. That's our second warning for exceeding track limits, so we need to be careful there with 4 laps to go. Here comes the Mercedes now looking to my right side. We're going to try and stay ahead into turn 1. We outbrake Russell, and we keep it planted there on the apex, but we push a little bit wide. Russell can't quite do anything with it, so we stay ahead now as we're going to try and fight, but we got to be smart about it now. As you can see, slipping and sliding all over the place, running wide nearly into the barrier now. Does Russell have an opportunity here with the DRS? Yes, he does. Even using the overtake, it's not enough. And there goes Russell through on us into P5. We were having a heck of a run, and now we're starting to tumble a little bit down the order. No DRS, of course, it's still broken, so we can only rely on the battery. A little bit deep there into the chicane, sliding on the exit. Here comes fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll. He wants to be the best finishing Canadian here today now, as he's going to show the nose, but he stays behind us now as I go a little bit too deep into turn number 1. That's not a big deal, but now we overshoot turn 2 as well. Wide on the exit, sliding. Now through goes the Lance Stroll. Carlos Sainz as well right here to put some pressure on. As you can see, we are just struggling everywhere at this point now, but I finally kind of knocked some sense into myself and just backed the pace down to a point where I can comfortably maintain what I'm doing in this car now, as Sainz is right there and he's got to run with DRS with 2 laps to go, but we just go very defensive line again into turn 1, but this time making sure I bank it down enough in turn 2 to where I'm not going to overshoot the corner. Can we at least hold on to P7 as we continue to slip and slide? DRS would be disabled here with 2 laps to go as we were heading down into the chicane, or sorry, into the hairpin. As you can see it there, DRS disabled. Max Verstappen just now starting the final lap, fresh off of win number 60, about to be 61. Leclerc and Hamilton chase, but it's going to be very difficult for them to do anything. Final lap underway here. We run P7. What a Grand Prix it's been. Even if we lose another spot, P8, I'm still not going to complain. We are well ahead of our teammate of Alex Albon. He hasn't quite had the pace this weekend. We have shown up all weekend long in our home Grand Prix. It's certainly that home Grand Prix effect that's really put us in position to do what we have done here now. Into the next chicane, just trying to follow Lance Stroll, slowly but comfortably sliding on the exit, now trying to get the throttle down but struggling. We continue to slip up, and Sainz is going to pounce the Spaniard through into P7 on the final lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll drop down to P8, and we know we're not going to have any DRS to use as he continues to walk away in the distance. Max Verstappen rounds the final chicane, and here he comes down the front straightaway by a second and a half. He'll win the Canadian Grand Prix, win 61.
Great day, guys. We were really close to needing the wet tires there.
Great drive again, Max. That's P1. Thank you.
Oh my God, guys. We're so close. We will get there. We will get that win.
And for us, it looks like P8 is what we'll have to settle for. We lunge deep on Sainz, actually getting a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. It doesn't matter. We're well enough ahead by 5 seconds over Esteban Ocon. P8 here in our first home Canadian Grand Prix.
Sorry about the end there, guys. I was struggling so much. I wish I didn't give up those spots, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure I kept the car on the track.
8th in your first home race, mate. Enjoy it instead of being disappointed by it.
They take the checkered flag then here in Canada in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix.
A great day for, of course, Max Verstappen, but, you know, as well for us. I mean, P8 still nothing to hold our head down about. You see Hamilton there celebrating with Verstappen. Leclerc as well going to join them on the podium here for the victory. Now, Verstappen quite excited here to win in the Canadian Grand Prix as he'll head out to the podium to celebrate yet another victory as well. James Hinchcliffe doing the podium interviews, briefly talking with Charles Leclerc.
Well, Charles, so close again. What more do you need?
Oh man, that was hard to accept again. We are so close, we just need a bit more speed in the car. We will win very soon, I am sure of it.
And Verstappen, of course, is going to extend that championship lead. And I'm surprised by Mercedes. After the patch with the R&D changes, Mercedes has dropped quite a bit. But I'm surprised that Hamilton did what he did. We did see a lack of pace out of George Russell. So I think Hamilton, it was more of the fact that he was able to hold on to that DRS in front of him. P8 for us, P9, P10. Great day for Alpine. They showed up today. I don't know what it was. Albon ends up 12th. Norris 13th. A disappointing day for him. And McLaren in the Vodafone special weekend, of course, with a retirement as well for Piastri. Verstappen 51 points ahead already. He is walking away. Leclerc needs to step it up to make this interesting. I'm hopeful he can do it now going into this new post-patch R&D stuff. But as well, Red Bull as well, 51 points ahead of Ferrari as we maintain P6. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Spanish Grand Prix. Thank you for watching and have a great day.